What is up, guys? Thank you so much for clicking on this video, and today I'm going to be doing something that I've done quite a bit of research on but don't exactly know how to do myself. So there's Marcus, if you can hear him in the background, but I'm going to be putting S13 coilovers onto my Cressida. So if you see these coilovers, they are obviously for an S13 because they have the brackets and whatnot, but I will go into depth on how to put that on, and this man is so fucking loud. So right now, if you saw one of my other videos, you will know that this is lowered on cut springs, and I want to go lower is the main thing, like right now for instance, but I also plan on getting a body kit. And if I cut too many spring coils to where I'm so low that where I try to put the body kit on and it scrapes, I can't go any higher. So this is also just a nicer suspension anyways. But right now in the back, let's go ahead and see where I'm at. Right around like exactly 2 feet.
No more fat.
See right there. So right now I'm going to do just the back, because as far as putting the rear suspension on to the Cressida, it is way easier because all you have to do is take the stock top hat off the rear strut and then drill a couple holes to make those studs come through. Then you use the stock top hat as whatever, and I'm pretty sure this just fits. So in order to get to this top hat in the back, you have to take out both seats. The back seat or the bottom of it just has a tab right here on each side, and then the backrest part has 2 tabs at the very end that go right here, and that is just a 12 millimeter, as well as the top hat is also a 12 millimeter. Then you have to like pull up this little cardboard piece and peel that back and whatnot. It is just one 19 millimeter bolt, and you pull it out super easily. So we'll take this nut off to reuse this top hat, and then we'll drill 2 holes in it for those 2 studs to come out of. But the main thing I'm concerned about is how this lines up. And if we put, oh wow, so it actually is the same exact size, except this one sits a little bit forward, so technically this won't be exactly straight, but that's not a big issue, but it will still work. So you're probably wondering why I have this massive pipe here, and it is because what some people do is they take the rear tube from the S13 coilover and they actually put another rear tube on the front suspension, and then what they do is they cut this little eyelet off, and then they're actually able to weld this straight to it. But I could not find a blown set or used set of these coils anywhere. So what I'm gonna have to do is, this is the front obviously, so I'm gonna cut these 3 ears off. You see that one's welded there, and both these are welded all the way down. And then I'm gonna get the exact size, because you can see it's just a little bit longer. And then I have this steel pipe, which is the same exact diameter as, I can't really do this one-handed, but I'll just cut like this much of it, and then I'll weld this to the front. Yeah, you can see it's the exact size, so I can just weld that and then cut it exactly where it needs to be. And it is almost the right inside diameter as well, but it's not quite, but it doesn't really matter. So I got the top hat off. It is one easy 17 millimeter bolt, and it came right off, and it has this little dust shield, but we're gonna remove that. So I just took a screwdriver and pried it off, and now I can take this entire big piece off, and just like that, we have what we need. So this is a little bit more difficult than I thought, but after you hammer out those studs, that is not the only thing holding this plate on. You actually have to drill the spot welds, and I went all the way through, which you don't have to do, but if you look closely, you can see the 2 sheets of metal separated, and you definitely need a press or a vise, and I have a socket in the back pushing on this piece, and then I have two right here pushing on this piece, and I actually warped it a little bit, but I think I'll be able to straighten it. And we tried to hammer it, and I don't know if you can tell, but I smacked the shit out of his finger with the sharp part of this 28-ounce hammer. He was holding on to that, and I just completely missed. So man got damaged, so we're going back to this way. This side cracked, but this side still doesn't. So I'm just going to start turning this over and hopefully get it good. It's coming. Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. This is what you're trying to get. And this is what you got to take off. So you got to separate both of these. I tweaked mine a little bit, but I still think I can...
You can see where you're missing the welds.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly, you missed them. There was two
So you
welds in
can
this.
see I misdrilled them ever so slightly. Right there, but all the other ones I got somewhat good. But now what you can do is make a little template on the S13 coilover, figure out where exactly you need to drill it. So I mocked it up, and you can see the holes are going to be right on the edge there and there. I can't reach my thumb up to it, so it's going to be kind of challenging to cut, but I might drill a small pilot hole. So I got the holes drilled out and put on, and I don't know why they said you had to drill out the middle, because this literally fit perfectly over this washer. Like, I did not drill any of this bore out, and as you can see, I got a little extra so I can, or I drilled a little extra on these studs so I can position it. And now I'm going to start putting the studs back in. If you can see the knolling, there's just the thinnest little layer on this piece, because if you see like that this piece has most of it, but luckily it still works and still holds. I have the this, and I put the nut right here so I can thread the nut on and pull it through. I cannot believe it, but I have it on, so you can see this is the fitment on it. The coilover studs do barely miss the inner diameter, and if they do hit for you, you just have to drill it out. But luckily my thing wasn't too bent to where these wouldn't line up. I think it only goes in one way because I couldn't get it to go in, but luckily I had just the top hat, and I marked which way was actually forward. And then I actually had to tack weld these studs in because, like I said, the little material was not enough. But other than that, it's all good up there. You can see how ugly it looks, but all I have to do is position this correctly, and like I said, it doesn't matter, you know, which direction it goes in, because this can just spin and you can adjust it that way. But all I have to do is jack the car up a little bit to get that to line up with this. And just like that, you can see it does sit a little bit close right there, but I can lift it up a little bit more. But as you can see, no modification necessary to mount the bottom. So the bottom fits regardless. I literally just jacked it up. It fit in like a glove, put the bolt in, nothing much to it. Well, I got the other side done off camera, and boy, it went perfect. Like the last hole that I had to drill, as soon as I drilled it, it popped, and I was like, no way. Threw it at the ground, it came apart perfectly. Put it on the coilover, lined the holes up, drilled the hole. First try, lined up perfectly. Put it back in the car, bolted it up. Took me like a quarter of the time to do that one than it did the first one, but other than that, I am now done with both back sides. I don't exactly know what height they're at, but I don't know if you can, yeah, you can't really see it. I'd have to go sideways. Yeah, you can see that's all the thread I have left. Oh shit, why is that one tucked so far? Well, probably because it's on the blocks. So let me drive this off the blocks and get it out there with the seat on top. So this side looks a little bit lower, but that side is definitely tucking a bit more. I may try to lower it just a little bit more. I actually have quite a bit of space to go up, but other than that, that's the back done. So as we're getting started, you can see the cut spring right here, but you can see there's a sway bar link on the stock suspension, and there is not one on this. And like I said, I'm going to be cutting all this off to where I'm not going to use it. And one thing we also have is the brake line, and in order to take this off properly, you'll have to unthread it and then re-bleed the lines. But I've gotten away with just cutting it off before on my Subaru. I cut it and just zip tied it to the actual coil itself, so I'm gonna end up just doing that so I can save the headache of doing that. But as far as this attaches, there's not, I think it just bolts up here and here, and you can actually take this whole knuckle off with everything, which is what I've seen pictures of. So I'm gonna dig a little bit deeper in there. But as far as the sway bar link, I'm not sure. I messaged a guy on Facebook. I've asked him a couple questions. He sent me how he did it, so I've been going off of what he says. I just messaged him what he did about that, so I'll be getting that information in. But other than that, let me go ahead and cut this, disconnect this, and take everything apart to get this by itself. So as soon as you remove the two brake caliper bolts, 17 millimeter bolts, and you remove the two 17 millimeter, I don't know what you'd call this, strut bottom ball joint, whatever. So if you ever needed to replace the ball joint, it'd probably be smart to do this at the same time, because you have to take the strut out to do that. But this honestly did not take that long at all. And I also cut off the brake line bracket. Like I said, I have cut springs, and I don't have this the best way measured, but it's about 23 inches is what the stock strut assembly is to have the fitment that I have. And the aftermarket one, and I have this threaded in like 10 times. The threads probably only go to about here, and this one, it's hard to do this with one hand. This one is only 18 and a half with barely any threads on, which I'm not sure what the recommended amount of threads in is. So that is why you'd want to use the rear tubes if you're lucky enough to be able to get your hands on one of those. If not, do what I do with that big pipe right there. So I'm gonna have to cut this off because there's no other way to get it out. So that is why it is necessary to weld. And just like that, there is no going back. This is the, oh, it fell over. Oh, look at all that fucking fluid. Yeah, this is how the strut works, and now it doesn't, and I just made another mess. But like I said, you have to cut it off so you can weld to this piece right here. So I didn't get the cut 100% flush, but nothing a little grinder can do. And if you don't, even if that's level, you can weld it not perfectly. This is like a 2 1/4 inch piece, and you can see it didn't cut perfect. My chop saw blade actually melted because I guess I didn't lubricate it, but you can see this is a pretty thick pipe right here, if you know what I mean. But I'm gonna end up welding that to that, and then the other end to there, like I said. And one thing you can do is invert the strut, and you can see this hole and all the holes, it is barely hitting. So with enough force, I could actually get that to go all the way through, but it's better to just bore it out a little bit. That way you can just plop it right in place from underneath. So I now have all the holes drilled out to where it fits. And one thing you'll notice is that the camber plate does not face the correct direction. There's 3 different ways you can actually put this in, and this is the closest one I can get to actual camber adjustment. So you're not gonna have, you know, sideways camber adjustment like you should. It's gonna be a little off, which technically affects like almost caster angle. But it kind of sucks, but I think it might still be able to do a little bit if you need it. So there's the earless collar. So now it is literally just a nut, I guess you can call it, or a collar, whatever. So I got all the ears cut off. These ones took a while because it's pretty thick and the weld is hard, you know, so it's actually easier to go slightly above the weld. That way it just cuts straight through. You can see the difference. I tried to go on the weld, it took forever. I went above it and it just kind of flowed right through. Here's the other one. So some weight reduction right there, right? So I got this little wire wheel attachment that makes it like a drill into the impact, and I have a wire wheel, and I cleaned all this up, and you can see I didn't cut this lip all the way, not on purpose, but it makes it perfect because now this sits on here and doesn't go anywhere, and I just kind of have it propped up. But for the most part, it's at the correct angle because you can see it's flat all across. So all I need is a few tack welds to hold that on. And then, like I said before, we can kind of make this hidden, or other way, hidden like that. That way it faces the inside. So that is how it's going to look, all, you know, complete. Now that I got this completely done, you can see this side didn't come out as well, and I did do the back. I couldn't get to that last part, so if you really care, take the dust shield off. But since I was able to get the inside and I just globbed it on the back side right there, I know it's good. But other than that, time to put this piece on. So I used a flapper wheel and kind of got it better, but now to test it out, all we have to do is like see, the suspension is only going to get straight downward force. The control arms and shit are going to kind of soak up everything, so even if it does hit a massive bump, I still think I'll be fine. I did the welds at max and held it really slow to where I almost burnt through. I got a really small hole that I actually burnt through, but I was able to patch it up everything. So I'm actually pretty confident in this with my $80 Harbor Freight flux core welder. So time to clean this up, paint it, and screw the coilover on, and I think this side's done. And just like that, boys, the coilover is in. As you can see, I put a coat of white paint on it just because it looks scuffed up, and the brake thing just kind of sits there. Technically I could tack weld that to it because it's like perfect for it. And then the top, like I was talking about before, doesn't actually have the camber plate correctly whatever, but other than that, it is fully bolted up. Everything went together real nicely. I put lots of anti-seize on everything and whatnot. And something that I'm not sure what to do about, the sway bar link does not have a spot to go to. So I mean, technically you could probably cut it off of this, the one, like the stock one, and then re-weld it on. I asked the guy and he said it goes to the lower control arm, so I'm not exactly sure what he means by that. I don't know if you can adjust it to make it go in that hole or something, but for now I'm just gonna leave it like that, and if the car rides like complete shit, which it may or may not, then I'll figure that out. So with the wheel completely on, there's a small problem. It still rolls, you know, by hand. But if you look, that fitment is so tight. It is not touching by like a centimeter. And I don't know how safe that is. You can really see it right there. I don't know. I never heard anyone talk about that. I don't know if my wheels are a weird offset. But Good thing is I wanted spacers anyways, just to get, you know, that flush look with the fender. So I'm not too concerned about it. All right, an hour and like 10 minutes later, and I have the second one done. You can see, let me get a better angle. You can see I used the smaller spacer, so that way I didn't have to thread it in so much. And I got everything together, and I just have the sway bar link zip tied out of the way. So now I'm gonna put the wheel on and see what our fitment looks like finally complete. So I did something different on this one. Not only did I use the smaller spacer, but instead of putting it perfectly flush with the knuckle, I actually made it go out a little more, and I actually think that brought the wheel out, and it's almost perfect. You can see it's like touching the fender liner, and I actually have more room to go. So definitely go with that like 2 1/4 inch spacer if you do it that way. Here we are at the gas station, and thank God I rolled my fenders because that bitch is close up front. And then you get to this side, and it is not as good like I was saying earlier. It's like 1/2 inch off, so I'm gonna have to worry about that. And then for some reason this side is fucking tucking nice, and I get over to this side and it isn't as much, but it is tucking finally. The back is actually like 1/2 inch lower than the front, but we can see she looks nice now. All nice and slammed. I don't know if you can hear it. I'm gonna try to be quiet. But these coils are actually pretty loud. There's a big bump coming. Let's see how this is. Y'all heard that, right? I don't know. I know the sucking sound is the piston, but that metal sound, I don't know if I need to tighten the rear down a little bit more, but it's mainly coming from the back. And it's honestly not horrible. Like, I don't have the seats in, obviously, so putting the seats in might help. But other than that, I'd say it feels honestly not too much different from the cut springs. It's just this one, like the cut, it still hits the same as the cut spring, but it bounces back a lot quicker than that. So if you made it to this part of the video, I respect it a lot. Thank you so much for watching my video. It means a lot to me. Follow my 2 Instagrams right here so y'all can catch up on the builds, because I don't always post on YouTube. Other than that, that is a full complete guide on how to put S13 coilovers directly on to your MX83 Cressida. I don't know if it goes for the other Cressidas, but it isn't the lowest right now, but the springs will settle ever so slightly, so I will go a little bit lower over time, but I still need to make some adjustments. Like, it pulls to the left a little bit, nothing too bad. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hit that like button if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, so I know, and then explain to me why. Leave a comment, let me know what y'all want to see, what y'all should have done, what I did wrong. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and peace.